Look, let's go out to the Toyota of Hollywood guest line. Shop hundreds of Toyotas indoors in one of America's largest showrooms at Toyota of Hollywood on 441 between Hollywood and Sheridan. And coming to the Dania Beach Improv, Thursday's got one show. Friday and Saturday has a pair of shows each day. Dan Soder joining us here. He's going to be at the Dania Beach Improv. Dan, thanks for the time, man. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Nice to see you or talk to you guys. See you. I don't know what the hell that was.
It's
nice to talk to you.
It is good to talk to you, man. Now you, Dan, you are childhood friends with our beloved Mike McDaniel. This man, he charmed us last year. Not only brought us fun football for the first time in 20 years, but he's different, man. Like what was a young Mike McDaniel like from when you guys were friends in school?
Exactly what he is right now. He's exactly, to quote the great Dennis Green, he is who you thought he was. He is a weirdo, a genius, and just like, he's the best. And it's still mind blowing to me that I'm having a phone call with the sports about Mike McDaniel being there. It's just nuts. It's surreal to this day, but I've seen him work for the past 20 years, through different levels in the NFL, and it's so awesome to see him. And I can't believe he made me into a Dolphins fan.
So last year, because I believe you're normally 49ers fan. So last year when it's 49ers Dolphins.
Here's the real talk about it. I am a lifelong 49ers fan. Bang, bang, Niner gang until the grave. However, because of my love of Mike McDaniel, for the first time in my life, I couldn't cheer for the Niners. I had to go.
Wow.
When they ripped that 70-yard touchdown to open the game, I was like, all right, Dolphins, here we go. And then the best defense in the NFL came a-calling. But I'm very excited for this season. I think Mike and I think the organization has put themselves in a situation where, it's exciting. It's very, very exciting. Getting Jalen Ramsey's mind-blowing. I don't know, man. I never thought I'd be this into the Dolphins. I swear to God. I never thought I'd be reading everything that I could every day about the Dolphins.
When you saw, I guess the relationship that he had with Tua kind of blossoming last year, were you surprised that a guy like him could infuse confidence into a guy who seemingly was broken on confidence? They talked about Tua's confidence kind of getting wrecked by the last coaches. So the first thing that Mike did, really harboring that relationship and making him, believe in himself again, were you probably weren't surprised by that he was able to get that out of Tua?
Mike knows football better than anyone I've ever known, but Mike is one of the best coaches I've ever seen in my life being able to relate to their players, because he doesn't do it in a phony way. Everything about Mike is very sincere. And I saw that when he was in Washington. I saw that when he was in Atlanta, back in Houston. Back in Houston, when he started his career first season with the Broncos, then with the Houston Texans, we would talk on the phone and he would be hanging out with players because he was the same age as them. So I think he came up in a way of being able to relate to players where he's not doing the old military, don't look at me, I'll give you water when you need water. He's kind of makes jokes with them, jokes around with them and really tells them hey, if you do this, we can be successful. So I think that's when I saw him doing that with Tua, and then to see how it paid off with Tua playing unbelievably before he was injured, it wasn't a surprise to me because that's just who McDaniel is.
Are you shocked that more coaches haven't kind of adapted that in that, look, you're in this together. And in most cases, the player is going to be there and you're not. One of the things that I had a problem with the last coach is that he didn't instill any confidence in Tua. And Tua didn't ask to be brought to Miami. You brought him here. So shouldn't you do everything you can? I think that's one of the things we all appreciate about Mike McDaniel is that every player that he has a conversation with, it's all about, I'm going to help you and you're going to help me be the best version of the Dolphins we can be. And it's good to see.
Yeah, I think what he really relies on is the fact that it's going to be a mutual benefit. It's going to benefit both people if they buy in. And also the thing I loved about Mike was he looked at Tua and he was like, oh, I see what you can do. And then he started showing him basketball highlights. He started showing him highlights of like, Jason Williams or AI giving little dishes, or Kobe. He would show him little like, I need you to make these kind of passes, like put it to the guys that are getting open. So he's really good at reframing stuff in order to get a clearer view on it. And I think that's something that that's always been the way Mike has been. Always. Like, I remember when we were in like 8th grade and we were doing homework, and I was like, I hate homework, because I used to like stay at his house a lot. And I hated homework, and he was a good student, and he was like, oh, well, like put on music, like make it kind of entertaining to be doing your homework. Don't make it like boring and like eating your vegetables. And that's just always been a thing that Mike has been able to do, is reframe situations in order for you to get a better look at it. And so it's awesome that it's really cool that it's happening at the NFL level,
Okay, I'm confused here, because you're a comedian.
Yeah.
Mike is kind of a comedian in his delivery. But I got to imagine when you guys were kids, like you didn't think like, man, I got a crazy friend here, because he's quoting Socrates to us, and we just had a conversation. I said, Tobin, there ain't no way in hell in our relationship is any one of us ever venturing into Socrates.
I mean, the great thing about Mike is he can, it's like in comedy, you want to play to the room. You're connecting to each audience every night.
Right.
So it's like the guys that just do the same act over and over, you can kind of tell and it's boring. But when someone can connect with an audience and relate to them in certain ways, it makes every little thing a little bit different and a little bit better. And I think McDaniel's got that quality, because, like with me, I've been obsessed with comedy the way he's been obsessed with football since we were kids. So he was always able to make like silly random references that only I would get when we were hanging out. And that's kind of his personality. You know what I mean? Like, he can get into a situation and quote something and you're like, oh, that's random. I don't know why the hell you know that, but it just makes sense coming from him.
Talking to Dan Soder, who's going to be at the Dania Beach Improv Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. 2 shows on Friday, 2 shows on Saturday. Get your tickets to go see Dan. Good friends with Mike McDaniel, show from Billions. I'm curious, Dan, you guys being childhood friends and both having unconventional goals, now that you've both kind of like made it, right? Like levels of fame, great success. Do you guys sit back? Like, are you talking about what famous life is like now that like he's at the pinnacle of coaching? He's hobnobbing with Eric Spoelstra courtside NBA finals. I'm sure you're in with the Hollywood types and all the things that are going on with having a hit show and things like that. Like, what are those moments like? Just thinking about, damn, we've actually done what we said we were going to do.
I mean, what's crazy, man, is that's a 2-part answer. Number one, no matter how successful you get, Mike still didn't get any NBA Finals tickets, so I could watch my Nuggets beat the hell out of your Heat. Right. But he did miss me on that one, which I was like, come on. If you're going to get me a 40th birthday present, get me some Finals tickets. But I understand he's got to cheer for the Heat,
So you think he was lying? Guy now, Dan? You think he was lying? Like, because I was wondering this too, as a Denver guy, who was Mike really rooting? Because he was there at every playoff game.
I'm gonna tell you right now, as a guy that's watched several Denver Nuggets games with Mike McDaniel throughout the years, he was being very polite to you guys. So I want you to know that he's been taking a beating in our group chat because he felt the need to tell you guys that he thought the Heat was going to win. When I know that he knows, and he's a smart enough man, he went to Yale, that there was no way you guys were beating Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray this year. So I just want you guys to know that he cares about you so much that he would lie to himself that the Heat had any chance against the Nuggets.
Well, see, Dan, I'm curious about, like, is he being polite to us, or is he being polite to Spo? Because it felt like there was a coaching bromance that was brewing. So, like, does he have
I think what it is I think, Mike's explained to me, once you get to this level in sports, that really alliances that you had from when your childhood and stuff, because, the Dolphins home opener this year is against the Broncos, and I'm very excited to go to that game because I grew up a 49ers fan in Denver, and he grew up a huge Broncos fan. And so I'm just the 7th grader in me is very excited to watch him and the Dolphins beat the tar out of the Broncos week 3. And so it's interesting because I asked him, I'm like, are you a Broncos fan at all? He's like, man, I gave all that up. But I still think he loves the Nuggets. That's my theory.
Mm-hmm.
Different sport.
It was,
well, Dan, I hate to say this to you, okay? And this is just friends talking. And I think that the next time you go into the chat, you should mention this, is that all the games that Mike McDaniel went to, right? He went by himself and there was a seat open next to him.
That's true.
I mean,
that's true.
I'm in Montreal right now. I almost just punched my hotel wall. I almost just punched my hotel wall.
Hey, you might want to bring it up.
And I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to tell you this right now. What makes me so mad about that is I know McDaniel did not bring me to a game because I would have been head to toe dripping in mile-high basketball gear. I would have been in an Alex English jersey and tearaway Nuggets pants with a Nuggets hat on, letting the people of Miami know we were about to be NBA champions. So that makes me so mad.
Well, you can't be mad that he didn't bring you there as a guest of Eric Spoelstra.
I don't care, dude. When we were growing up watching Mutombo and then we were watching Melo get us to the first rounds and get knocked out, when all that was happening, if I would have told him, hey, one day you'll be able to you'll bring me to a finals game, but you'll be worried I'll be wearing too much Nugget stuff. Man, that makes me so mad. But you know what? Whatever, man. I'm not messing with his business. I get it.
You didn't hear this from us. You didn't hear this from me.
What did you think of Nikola Jokic not caring about going to a parade?
Oh, my God. It was the best. I'm telling you right now, the best thing about Nikola Jokic is he was the superstar that Denver needed, because when Carmelo Anthony forced that trade in 2010, and a lot of people forget about this, but Melo forced that trade. And the Nuggets front office, the Nuggets were just in the Western Conference Finals. They lose to the Lakers, and Melo goes, get me out of here. I want to play in New York or LA. And then he basically made us trade him to the Knicks for like Gallinari. I think we got Felton, Gallinari. We got some good players like Tyson Chandler and stuff, but he blew up the Nuggets. And I was like, man, we are never going to get a superstar to come to Denver, because if Melo was out, it told all the other superstars, why would I go to Denver? And then we got a big, goofy ass Serbian that can just ball and doesn't care about any of that. And so when I saw him be like, I don't want to go to parade. We need that Thursday. You're like, dude, let's go. I love him. Go race your donkeys, Jokic. And then he went to parade. I don't know if you saw him say that. One of my favorite quotes.
I saw he was happy about parade, but I saw him yesterday. He won some horse race in Serbia, and he seemed more excited about winning the horse race than he did winning the championship.
You know what? Dude, I hope he wins all the donkey and horse races he wants in Serbia, because if he keeps playing that way, man, he made it. When you know, the Heat, you guys have had championships with Dwayne Wade and Shaq, and then you had the LeBron years. So Heat fans, you kind of have a little swag of like, oh, we kind of know what it's like to be a champion. The Nuggets, we were always losers. We were always like, we're going to lose. Somehow this is going to happen. So this playoff run, I was like, when is it going to happen? Then we beat Phoenix, and I was like, well, that was surprising. And then we swept the Lakers on the day that Melo retired, which was pretty sweet. And then playing the Heat, I was like, Jimmy Butler's going to kill us. I know I'm talking crap right now, but I was straight up like, Jimmy Butler's playing out of his mind. And then for us to actually win the championship because of that big, goofy Serbian, I loved it.
Go watch Dan Soder this weekend at the Dania Beach Improv. He's got shows Thursday, one show. He's got 2 shows on Friday, 2 shows on Saturday. Chances Mike McDaniel shows up to one of the shows, Dan.
It's training camp. You guys don't want him there, but I believe his wife's coming, so I'm gonna be able to hang out with some of the McDaniel family. But he's got training camp, man. I'm telling you guys right now, as Dolphins fans, once McDaniel gets locked in, I like, the only time I'll see him is when I go to games, because he's that locked in. That's how focused he is on the Dolphins.
Our producer Marcos, he does some of the setups over there at Dania. He's told us comedians sometimes have special requests. Do you have anything we can boss Marcos into getting you anything? You want anything for your? No.
Let's not get crazy.
Dan's a good friend of the show now, Marcos. Like, I want you to make sure you treat him right. So, like, do you have any? You want like some Kobe beef or anything? Like, You know, whatever.
Oh, man,
some
that would be- let me
strange,
get-
some
let me get
strange
some-
request that you need for Marcos to go get
Yeah.
it for Dan, Marcos. Jeez.
I want Wagyu sliders, dude. I want Wagyu. hard to
wait.
fucking- Yeah.
We had him at Prime 112.
There you go,
No,
Marcos.
no.
Yeah, you know what?
Got Crystal.
You know
Burger
what,
money.
Marcos? All I can ask of you is just we're gonna have play me Perry Como, Papa Loves Mambo when I come on stage. That's my only request. I like coming up to goofy ass songs.
You
So
got it.
find me a goofy ass song to come on stage to.
Papa Loves Mambo. I can do that. That sounds way cheaper than Wagyu sliders.
Yeah.
We appreciate the time, Dan. Go
Thanks,
watch the
Dan.
at the Dania Beach Improv. Thanks for the fun, man. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. And you know what? I'm gonna say this. Go as I'm always gonna say, go Niners, but also go Dolphins. Let's win the AFC, huh?
Yeah.
Let's
Thank
win
you.
the
Yeah.
AFC.
Let's go. There you go. Dan Soder. Go check him out this weekend.
Hey, man, I got to tell you.
That was fun.